Here it is, party people, episode 61 of Where My Killer Tape At. Me and the homie Shadow one, who is our first guest for season 4, by the way. And she's been here, she's been on this show before. We're gonna do a spoiler-filled review of Captain Marvel, the movie. If you have not seen it, do not listen to this podcast. I repeat, if you have not watched the movie, do not listen to this podcast episode because we are going to talk about scenes in the movie. All right, so do me that solid. Word, here we go. I want to. I like to introduce myself.
Now greetings to the world.
Yo. For this episode, I am sipping on Apothic Red Winemaker's Blend. They make a bunch of different joints. It's pretty good. And it's a blend of Zinfandel, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a smooth Merlot. So it actually goes down pretty smooth and it has some kick to it. Definitely check out Apothic Red. And no, they're not paying me for this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is DanTresOMi, Where My Killer Tape At, episode 61. And we bring you the first guest of season 4. Y'all know her as Shadow. She's been on here before. If you don't see her on Twitter, and I'll be friends. She is. I consider her the resident geek on Twitter, especially when it comes to Marvel comics. She's somebody that I read and listen to, especially because she's always reading stuff. And I'm always checking out what she's reading. So, how you doing, Shadow?
Hey, how you guys doing? I am good. It's Friday. I'm chilling on my day off. Appreciate being on the show again.
Okay, definitely. We're gonna go ahead and jump right in to we're gonna be discussing Captain Marvel. The first question I have for you was, did it meet your expectations?
Let me say this. For this particular movie, I did not have any like I have in the past normally, because this is the first iteration of a superhero that I really do not really care for in the comics. Okay. So I just wanted to see the different spin, what they were going to take and how they were going to utilize her. So overall, I did not have any expectations. So that helped me. I think if I would have went in with expectations, I think I would have probably been disappointed, if that makes sense. So because I didn't do that, I was not disappointed. I am okay with what they did and what, the outcome.
And I want to say that I was very happy with the movie because I really wanted to see how they would do the Kree Skrull War. Because I'm a big fan of that story, and I did want to know more about Nick Fury, so I thought that was really cool. But I've learned, I'm very comfortable with Kevin Feige. Whatever he puts out, I'm comfortable going to the movie theater knowing I'll be satisfied.
Correct, right.
You
gotta go by track record. Track record is important, and one thing about the MCU, they have a plan. It's like having a well thought out business plan that you follow, and then you go back and make adjustments as necessary, but they pretty much follow their gut. They follow their whatever plans they have. They kind of see them through and follow through, and they don't react, and they don't really service fans. And I think that's what keeps them above and beyond a lot of other places, because once you put that fan service in, we're not the storytellers, and we're just opinionated people who think we know it all on the surface, but really they are the filmmakers. They are the ones that's putting in the manpower and the hours and things like that. So I think that as a leader, anybody who has to lead something, you can hear and you can, get input, but stick to your gut, stick to your gun, and follow through with your project. Because overall, we might bitch and moan at first, but after a while, we're going to shut the fuck up and move on to the next topic,
And you know what? You're right. Because I noticed that other production studios, like, they'll do reshoots and re-edits when they see people trip on trailers. I noticed they do that, and I'm like, why you do that? It's like they do it consistently. It's another reason why no one should believe that Hollywood says they ain't got no money, because they're always going back and doing reshoots. And I'm like, and it's always a disaster. Every time they do a reshoot or re-edit or change, some of the graphics, the CGI, it's always a disaster. It's just like wow, like to see it in real time is just amazing. So I love the fact that, and here's one spoiler, the Skrulls are actually the good guys. So
wasn't that great?
I had to sit through the movie saying to myself, because my whole life the Skrulls were the bad guys. I had to sit there and be like, the Skrulls are the good guys, which I thought was really cool. And it shows how, like, the MCU, they like to really troll us when it comes to trailers. They got us thinking they're going to do one thing, and then we show up and they do something else. So I love when they do that. I really do.
A lot of people, I did my little review. I didn't do my spoiler review yet, but I did my little review after, while Captain Marvel was fresh on my brain and everything. And I think the main thing I heard there's three things people really complained about, and I thought that was going to be one of them, but it wasn't. I think I seen a few people complain about it. But remember, we still got the Super Skrulls that we can use later, and can potentially be the actual bad guys. And I think they knew that. I think they knew that. They was like, well, we can use the Skrulls, but remember, we still got the Super Skrulls. But I love that twist. The one thing I think the biggest thing I came out of this, where people were disappointed, was, big spoiler here, Nick Fury losing his eye.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
I was not. I think that's another thing where Marvel took something that we were really expecting to be this big dramatic thing, because we're used to the hardcore, nonchalant, really tough guy Nick Fury, and what he said in and Winter Soldier, when he said, last time I trusted someone, I lost the eye. Yeah. They made it into the smallest thing, and people were pissed about it. Yeah. And I was like, I actually like that. I actually like that they do stuff that's unexpected, that will really not service us as fans. So where we'd be like, I knew it. Coming up out of that, when people was like, that's how he lost. I could see how some people were disappointed, but I actually thought it was funny. I thought it was funny, and I was like, oh, so this nigga been over exaggerating all these years about how he lost his eye. Because remember when Coulson came in, he said, is it true? Did you really,
Yeah.
He made he made it out to be like this big dramatic thing, how he lost his eye. So he's the only one, other than, a couple other people, know exactly what happened to his eye. Other than that, he made up this big, this big dramatic thing of how he lost his eye, which was completely a lie. That made me see the humanity in Nick Fury, versus seeing him as this elite, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. that just take care of business, barely jokes or anything like that. I just like that take on him, to see him in this movie like that.
I didn't have an issue with it either. It's funny because I read an article and it was like the demasculizing of Nick Fury. And I was like, really, guys? But I think people fail to realize that this takes place in 1995. So he's not, 20 years, 20 something years later, he's very cynical. You know, he's seen a lot. He's been through a lot. He's put up with a lot of shit. So like, yeah, he's the badass. I take no shorts, Nick Fury. And I, quite honestly, in the field that I'm in, I can't really afford to trust anybody. So,
Exactly.
so you know, this is 20 years ago. You know, he's a younger person. He's just getting into the superhero stuff. You know, he realizes that he's in over his head. And I like that, and I appreciate Sam Jack for really playing that, because that's hard to play someone, you know, 20 years, 30 years younger than what you actually are. So he did his damn thing. He did his damn thing.
Yeah, I said that's one thing I said. This is a true thespian, because you know, to come in, you done been playing Nick Fury one way for 10 years, and then
yep.
have to scale back and completely play a different character, but just with the same name, you know, the same DNA. That just goes to show of how great his performance was, and which Brie Larson is gonna have to do once we see Endgame. She's gonna have to go from playing a 25-year-old, you know, character that's 25 years older now, coming into Endgame, and that's gonna show her acting chops, which is another thing. People complaining about her acting in this, and I said that's why y'all are so stupid that y'all don't even understand. This is how she has to play this character, because when she comes into Endgame, she ain't gonna be the same.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna see a completely different person.
When they casted her, I was happy because I've seen her. You know, she was in what's that one Against the World? What is it? That one based off of anime, after manga. Because she was in that movie in the band Sex Bomb On, and then I saw her in this movie called The Room.
Yeah, The Room
I
was where
didn't even recognize her.
Yeah, when she won the Academy Award in that one.
I didn't even recognize her, and then they put her in this, and she got skills. And then, you know, to go alongside, you know, Sam Jack and really, like, you know, really work with him like that, you got to give her props for that.
Exactly. But this is the thing about the thing about film fandom now, is that we more so want the story to service us, versus we got to understand that the story is the movie. It's not made to service our taste buds and what we want, you know, and people can't, you know what I'm saying, like, for some reason they can't just put their differences aside and let the storytellers tell their story.
Yeah,
that's what they get paid the big bucks for. Like, yeah, some things I'd be wanting to see in these movies, you know, like there's some things I want to see, but I don't let that cloud my judgment when I go in to view these movies. How do you feel when you go into the movies? How do you feel once you leave out? And if you truly dislike it, then that's cool, but don't say what they shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda did. Just say, oh, you know, okay, cool, I respect what they did, but it just didn't work for me. And I think that's the biggest thing I have with film fandom right now, is people is ready to give up on a entire character because of one movie that they dislike. And I'm like, really? Let's think about these 21 movies we've had?
Yeah, 21 movies. Yep.
Let's look at all of them. How many of the origin story movies were really perfect?
There's very few that are good.
I'm only going to tell you, there's only two that I really give like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And that's Iron Man, and that's Ant-Man. And the reason why is because, one, I'm a little biased with Iron Man. His fit the comics a little bit better than any of the rest. His story was a little bit easier to be told, though, because he's a basic, you know, okay, billionaire, you know, player, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. His story was a little bit more easier to tell versus some of these others. Ant-Man, I enjoyed that as an origin story more than any of them. All the rest of them, I barely gave them a high score. I gave them like 7, or 6.5, 7 out of 10. But origin stories, you're just being introduced to these characters.
Yeah.
They really do have to grow on you. I couldn't stand Thor. I hated Thor.
Thor 1 was very lackluster. I would admit. but
now I like his character because they had time to build him.
But I also want to say that to the fandom, like, they not only have to tell a story, we got them up. They don't have to tell her origin story. They also have to fit it into the overall arc of what they were doing with the Thanos saga. Like, it has to all fit. Like, everything has to fit. So even just the example of the eye, like, just that little story had to fit to what he said in Winter Soldier. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of that has to connect. All of that, shout out to Kevin Feige. All of that has to connect. So even these little changes, because I tell you what, if they didn't connect it, people would have been even more upset.
Exactly. And that's what I said on my Twitter. I said, look, if they wouldn't have connected a lot of the dots that they did, y'all would have complained about it.
Yep.
If they would have ditched a straight up origin story from the time she grew up until she became an Air Force pilot, up until she got, captured by the Kree, you know what I'm saying? And then they showed how her relationship with Marvel was. That's another dope one.
Yeah, that was a twist. And you know what? The trailers had it saying that Rude Law's character was Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, the way it was coming off was like he was Marvel, and then they flipped it. I was like, yo. I was like, wow.
I was like, whoa. And I went to see this twice, and I was just like, really, like, I like this, and I liked it even more the second time around. And I was like, it's how this ain't a Spider-Verse thing, but how in Spider-Verse they did, what I'm saying, Dr.
Octopus.
With Octopus. Yeah. They did the gender bend with that, and I loved it. I wasn't expecting it. It was out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, they give her the Marvel character. Okay, and I even like how they did the Supreme Intelligence by making the Supreme Intelligence be shown in the light. They didn't have to do this
something that you're close to.
Yeah, they didn't have to make this big CGI.
But you know why they did that? I'm gonna tell you why they did that. Because we had to believe that the Kree were the good guys.
Yep.
And so if you saw this big blob, you would have been like, wait a second. So even to Captain Marvel, they had to demonstrate like, look, we are the Supreme Intelligence. We know what we're doing. We want all of us to be part of this collective. The Skrulls are the bad guys. So that's why they had to do that. And
not only that, it wouldn't have looked good.
Yeah.
Cinematically.
I never liked the Supreme Intelligence in the comic book. I used to be like, ugh.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid. Like,
yeah. Very stupid. So I like the way they did that. I like the way they did the gender bend with Marvel, made it to where, she was someone that was close. She was a pink Kree, because a lot of people was, confused, of course, who don't read comic books. They was trying to figure out why some of them are green and some of them are pink. And, I had to explain that to a couple of people. But, a lot of people, I think, also complain they didn't understand the timeline. And I think people really were forgetting that this was a movie set in the 90s. And I can't understand how they forgot when you got all this music. She crashes in the damn blockbuster.
Yeah. Because I had to remind people of that too. I had to say, remember, this takes place in 1995.
Yeah, but you know what it is?
There was no cell phones. There was no cell.
They didn't say 1995 on. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't say the year is 1995. Like Terminator style.
That one scene where they're running Windows 95 though.
Oh, okay.
Uploading that stuff. Yeah, and I was like, oh, I remember that. And it's like, there's no cell phones. There's no, like, she had to use a payphone. Like, she had a pager. Like, they went to Radio Shack. Like, all these things. Like, how can you not know that's not the 90s? So
it's just because people only want they don't pay your fucking attention. That's like they don't pay attention to the little things. You know what I noticed about a lot of people? They just want action, action, action.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
who hated this movie, that's what they said. It wasn't enough action. They don't care about the character development and they don't care about the story. And I don't get it. Like, action is not everything. Yes, it's good. It helps, but that shouldn't be the all and be all. Like, that's a small, like, I only deduct like 1 point when the action's terrible. I don't completely just fail a movie because the action sucks. But that's like the number one thing. People did not pay attention to the details. And I'm like, how are y'all 10, 11 years into the MCU and not pay attention to the small details, especially the dialogue?
Yeah, because Captain Marvel answered a lot of questions.
Oh my God, did it?
It answered a lot of questions for me. And to be honest, if they didn't have the fight scene at the end and they leave it for another movie, I'd have been satisfied. Because there was a lot of questions that it answered for me, you know?
Yeah. What was some of the main questions that you had?
Number one, like the Supreme Intelligence, how they were going to handle that, right? And then, like Phil Coulson, like they showed him, like, oh wow, this is his first assignment, you know? And then I like how did him and Nick Fury become so tight? Because they, you know, I'm thinking they like were agents together their entire time in S.H.I.E.L.D. But no, he was a rookie when Nick Fury was in there, and then Nick Fury saw him as someone that had potential, and then always counted on him for that. So I thought that was dope.
So the fact that he didn't, he you know what I'm saying, when he saw him in the stairwell, and you know what I'm saying, he said he didn't see them. Yep. That kind of showed his loyalty to Fury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Tesseract, like how did, you know, like they never really explained, because we know it was in Captain America. How did it end up in Nick Fury's hands? They never explained that.
Right.
And
this is the thing. It's another question that people were saying. The timeline don't match up. I was like, it clearly matches up because first of all, it would make sense. Tony Stark's parents didn't die until 1991. So they died in 1991. That clearly means somebody had to get a hold to the Tesseract until Fury got it. Boom. Yep. Okay. It was with Marvel from 91.
Which makes sense because she was in the Kree and she was searching for that energy source. Boom. Like,
exactly.
You know, yeah. So, yep.
So I was like, what do you mean it doesn't fit the timeline? It's in 1995. I said, they was like, well, no, because Howard Stark, you know, found the Tesseract in the water, in the ocean and all that. And I was like, okay, yeah, that was in 1989. He died 2 years later in 1991, if y'all pay attention to Civil War.
And that was in the video. If you look at the video, it had the date right there. It had the timestamp on there.
But that's because they don't pay attention. And I was like, it is clearly right on the timeline. I said, there is no timeline, you know what I'm saying, issues here. Y'all just ain't paying attention. And I told people, go back and watch Captain America, the First Avenger, and then watch Civil War 2. And I said, and you also need to watch the First Avengers. And Pegasus is clearly in the beginning of the First Avenger.
Yep, Project Pay. Yep, you are right. Yep, and they connected everything. And those are the other questions that they answered. Like, where did that come from? You know? Yeah. It answered all those questions. So, yep.
So I was like, yes. But what I like about it, it also raised more questions. You know, I like movies that answer questions that I had previously, but also leave me with some other questions. Oh, my God. Okay, so where's she been all these 20-something years? I'm sure with some type of dialogue, people not going to listen in Endgame, though. But in Endgame, she's going to explain where she's been.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. Like, because it's going to be 3 hours long, so I'm pretty sure all of that.
Right. We're going to get some good dialogue to figure out where she's been for 25. Because everybody's like, it don't make sense that he didn't call her. And, you know, when the invasion, you know, and the First Avengers and, you know, and they were doing all that, I was like, come on, y'all.
In Iron Man, when I think is it in Iron Man 2 where Tony Stark was like, I want to be in the Avengers Initiative. And he was like, no, we got other people. I got other people. I don't need you.
Yeah, he's always hinting around to the like,
So,
that there was more and there's other people,
yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff like that. And
Exactly.
like I said, you guys don't pay attention to the dialogue in these movies.
Mhm.
Y'all only there for the action scenes.
You're right. Right. Because like I said, this movie fits into everything. It really it fits perfectly into it. Like, that's why I really enjoyed it. I was like, man, okay. All right.
How did you feel about the pacing of the movie? Like the actual pace going in, like the very first 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Did you feel like that there was a drag?
No.
Did you feel like
I did
feel like it was paced?
Because I knew they were doing something new. They were telling an origin story differently. So instead of it being just a 5-minute flashback, and then you got everything, right? It's like they give you, because she has amnesia. She doesn't know, not amnesia, but it took her memories out, right? So as we're learning, she's learning who she is.
Right, and we're learning right along with her.
So, and then there's some things that, remember, the Creed, they deceived her, they lied to her. So she had to start figuring out. We had to figure out along with her. I thought it was great what was real and what wasn't real.
Right.
There was we was like, oh, wait a second. He's the one he was the one that shot Captain Marvel, not a Skrull. We had us thinking that homeboy killed her, but it wasn't. It was the Kree. So we had to, then we had to figure out, are the Skrulls to be trusted? And it wasn't until we saw that scene, we was like, okay, maybe we should listen to this guy.
Right.
Remember when he was like, you got to get to these coordinates. He was so adamant about getting these coordinates, and you're like, why does he want to go there? And then when he pulls up, his family's there, and you're like, oh, that's why he was so, adamant about going there. He was literally, when he was in Rambeau's house, he was literally begging them.
Yeah.
He was begging them. He was like, hey, look, I need to get to these coordinates. I really do. You have to take me there. And I promise I'm going to answer all your questions. And this is like,
exactly.
And I was like, wow, this guy, and my whole life, Skrulls are bad guys. So I'm like, I don't know about, so I really liked how they did it. It was very unique. It was a risk. That was a big 40-minute risk. But I ended up, once everything was revealed, it was perfect to me.
Really flushed out. And, some people was like, oh, I didn't think her story was told right. All we got was a bunch of flashbacks. And I was like, do we see the same movie?
Yep.
Because I was like, it wasn't flashbacks. It was her dreams and her memories coming back to her. Mm-hmm. I said, this is not her reflecting on her past. This is literally her memory slowly coming back to her. And it was taking us pretty much on an adventure through her mind.
Yep. Because I'm not going to lie. I'm in there thinking, is she Kree or part Kree? Like, that's like the whole, that first hour of the movie, I was like, is she Kree or half Kree? I don't understand. And then it's like, no, she's human. It's just that the power source, it converted her DNA. And I was like, oh, that was so cool how they did that. Because they
was manipulating her, making her think. So that whole time when Jude Law or Young Rog, whatever, when he was coming in with the gun, they were manipulating her brain to make it look like it was a Skrull.
Yes.
That you seen. Yep. But that wasn't a Skrull. It was him that whole time. The other thing is that I want to ask you about this. So I asked you about the pacing. Once we got to the third act, and do you feel like her power and everything? We already know she had the little inhibitor on her neck, and they were controlling that and keeping her from full potential. But do you feel like it was also about her confidence and her emotion too? Like, I feel like all that had to be right in order for her to really embrace her powers. I feel like her emotions had to be in check. She had to be confident, and the inhibitor had to come off.
Well, I'm going to refer to the comic book.
Okay.
Because remember that in the comic book, Rogue stole her powers and her identity and her memories. And she went to this coma and she became binary.
Yeah.
And because of that assault, it really like dropped because she was. It's like I don't want to say it's like it, but it's like a full body and soul assault, and the trauma was so big on her that there were moments when she was not confident in using her powers. And when you look at the early 2000 run of Miss Marvel, she was trying to come into that, and it wasn't until she became Captain Marvel where she realized her full power, and she was a badass. She became a badass, and I think they kind of like they wanted to do that whole story, and again, wonderful MCU writing. They were able to kind of do that in this movie.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with you on that. Because when I was sitting in there, I was like, "Oh my God, this is the Rogue story." It's just told differently. Because remember, she took her memories and everything, and there were times when Rogue thought she was Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
And so it's like the same story, it's just modified. So I thought that was genius. That was really like I was like, "Oh snap." That's
what's so impressive because they really do focus on taking the best storylines and adapting them into a mixture. It's like you just taking a whole bunch of ingredients and throwing in there and you putting and making this gumbo, this this really good soup. You know what I'm saying? Where you just mixing a lot of great storylines together and mixing them, and that's how they're shitting out these good stories because they are using the source material, but they're just using them in a unique way. I really wish I could just visit and see one of their storyboards just so I could see how they construct and how they get through all this and come up with these stories, because it's fascinating how damn near impossible that I would think after 21 movies you would be looking for a hiccup, and they have not made no hiccups. Right. It's like a well-oiled machine that don't even run off of oil anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so that it just amazes me.
I gotta give again shout out to Kevin Feige because I just learned this because he really lets the directors do their thing, and a lot of times he encourages them to do things that they might not have done for another. For example, I didn't know that last scene in Black Panther where Homeboy says, let me die, so I could be with my ancestors who jumped off the boat because they felt like dying was better than being slaves. Ryan Coogler was going to take that out, and Kevin Feige said, "Nah, keep that in there," And I was just like, "Wow, this is those little touches that he does that kind of like it gives each movie their unique perspective and unique. They're all unique in their own way, but they're all part of the same story." I saw that happen here.
But did you also realize, and I'm going to shout out Kevin Feige too, is that he put his all and he risked getting indie or beginning people that ain't even got their feet really into big budget films. And he trusts and he get these indie filmmakers and bring them into these big budget things. He don't seek out the best directors.
That's true.
He seek out directors that are passionate.
And it's funny because the co-directors of this movie, they did this great story called Sugar. And it's about Dominican baseball players and how they're exploited. And it's like completely on the opposite side of the spectrum of this blockbuster movie. And you're right, he does that.
And I like that.
If you look at Taika Waititi's first movie, it was a vampire parody, which is it's an amazing movie, but it's a vampire parody, and it's like on the complete opposite spectrum of Thor Ragnarok, Right. So you're right,
He does, and these directors that he got to do Captain Marvel, they are television and indie filmmakers who's never did a big budget film like this, but he trusted them. You know what I'm saying? I really would want to know in his interviews when he talked to them, he ask, do you read comics? Like, is that a prerequisite?
It gotta be.
You know what I'm saying? And if you don't read comics, you're gonna have to read these. Like, what does he say? You know what I'm saying?
I believe so, and it's because they took elements from the original Captain Marvel run when he meets Carol Danvers. They took elements from the 2000 run, and they took elements from Kelly Sue DeConnick, who's her run to me is my favorite. They took
she's actually in the movie.
Yes, they took elements from all of them, which they do really in all of the MCU movies. They take elements from stories and put them together. And really, the only way you can do that, I believe, is if you read
the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what I like about him overall. He trusts his directors and he do give them creative control, but under the umbrella of that, you have to do X, Y, Z, and so that I'm satisfied as your boss. When you're satisfied as a filmmaker, and then also our the big bosses and our board of directors are going to be happy with the price. So like he just knows. I really do feel like he knows we as an audience, they'll be okay. They'll buy into it eventually. Yeah, it might not hit everybody the same way, but we're already invested. And that's why I tell people, no matter what, you can say, I'm going to sit this one out. But I don't care. Even if you think the movie is bad or you listen to somebody who you really trust their movie opinions and they say, nah, man, I wasn't feeling it. You in some kind of way going to sneak your butt out and look at that movie.
You're right. No, I agree. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're that invested into these characters, whether they're new or rather they're old. We are invested in this universe. And that is what makes this a really great, franchise overall. Because once you get us invested, even if we don't like kind of where you're going with something, we're still going to come out and support.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of these characters that they're bringing out, most people don't know. Most people didn't know about Black Panther until Civil War. Most people didn't know about Captain Marvel to the end of Infinity War. So, and they're going to continue to do that. And at the same time, like in the comic book, I never liked Ant-Man, but I went to see the movie and I went to see the sequel. Same thing with Doctor Strange. I never was a fan, but I went to see the movie. I said, yes, I'm going to see the movie. I'm going to put money down to see it. Because I'm at the point where I really trust the MCU,
Right. So, and that's all about that trust. Once you get that trust, it's like your fans will support you even when you disappoint. It's like, oh man, I didn't want y'all to go there, but you know what? F it. We'll come back and we'll get over it, and we're forgiving because we trust them so much. So that's what I like. Now, as far as after seeing this movie, do you feel like she is like the most powerful Avenger, like Kevin Feige describes her to be? Are you convinced, or you still think you get?
I'm going to say this about Cap. The only issue I had is that her power set is not really explained.
Okay.
That's my issue. And I'm trying to stick to the comics with this. Her power set is not really explained. Now I understand why they had to make her this powerful, is because she's supposed to kind of like help save the day in Endgame. So I'm cool. I'm okay with that. But my issue was her power set wasn't explained, and then she's quickly able to do all these run through ships. Know that she could run through ships. Like know that she could just power right through the walls of a ship and destroy it. Like all of a sudden she knows that. But I understand why they had to do that. But really, I don't think it's going to be the powerful people that are going to save the universe in Endgame. I think it's going to be, I really believe, and I'm going to stick to it, and I say it all the time, I believe that Nebula is going to get the Infinity Gauntlet and bringing everybody back. That's it. And
so you actually believe that people are going to they're going to show people coming back in this movie?
Yeah, they're going to snap everybody back. They're going to snap everybody.
I'm not
with the exception of the people that Thanos killed before he snapped. He made that snap.
I'm not convinced on that one. I don't know. That's the only thing about Endgame. I really don't. It's so much that we know, but it's so much that we freaking don't know. So I don't know how this is going to pan out. My only gripe that I had with the with the Captain Marvel movie is I wanted Maria and to be used a little bit more. And I hate the fact that I don't know if she's gonna return or not.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Akira Akbar, who played
Mhm.
Monica Rambeau, stole that movie. She stole the show.
She did. While everybody else was talking about, Ben Mendelsohn and Sam Jackson, I was like, you know what? The heart of this movie is that relationship, that dynamic.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they didn't make her try to have a love interest, but it was more about a friendship that was going on, because I don't always think we need love interest in our movies. I don't like, I love my Tony and Pepper, don't take that one. But you know what I'm saying? Because, it ain't no regular lovey-dovey relationship. Oh, we're perfect for each other, Pepper know how to, give Tony a run for his money when he needs to be put in his place, and I like that. But I like that there was a friendship. We don't see that outside of Cap and Bucky and Cap and Falcon. You see like their friendship a lot more. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we have a female, superhero that actually, where they show a friendship and that connection, and that was the heart of the movie. Like, that's the movie that's the part where I was like, oh, other than in the beginning with the Stan Lee thing, that kind of got me in my feelings.
Yeah. How they did that little montage in the beginning, I was like, oh wow, like yeah.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the reviews, which I'm always on time for Marvel movies, I don't play that shit. But to be in my seat and to see that first, soon as we sit down, I was just like, you know what? Yes, this was perfect. Yeah. His cameo was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like some of the fight choreography in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I liked more of the second part, the fight scene. I was not too much disappointed with how fast she went from not knowing she had all this power, and then once she did, I think they had to.
Yeah, they had to.
That.
Yeah, they had.
Yeah. So I forgave that part. I think in the sequel, her powers will be more explained.
Exactly.
I think, what else I think? I think in her sequel, it's not going to be in present day. It's also going to be in the past, like Wonder Woman.
I agree.
Yeah, because we got too many years. There's too much storytelling they can tell, and this can be a completely cosmic thing. Yep. And I think that's how they can introduce other characters that we haven't seen yet by using Captain Marvel. And all these 20 plus years she's been gone, boom, we can get all those galactic. We can get Nova. We can get, a damn Adam Warlock or something like that. And get some of these other characters that we haven't seen yet because she's been gone so long. That's how they can connect, the cosmic universe. But let's talk about how they brought James Gunn back with they smart asses. That made my day. I had to say that on your show today.
Hold on. I'm missing something. James Gunn is back. What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't
hear? MCU? He's in the back of MCU?
Yeah. Disney rehired him.
So what is he going to be doing?
He's going to be directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Wow. I did not. I am shocked.
Yep. The news broke today.
Wow. That's not a practical joke.
Nope. No troll. I checked. I checked. Disney said something.
I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at Business Insider, so it's definitely not a prank.
Yeah, Variety ran it. The Hollywood Reporter, flat. All the lines that I can trust. They all ran it, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. So I am just really happy with Disney right now. Like, I am so happy with them. But I called this. I swear I did. I called this.
I think I remember you. I think I ignored that tweet. I think I think you did say that. I think I ignored that. 'Cause usually I RT your stuff. I usually RT, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this one that I was like, this one I was like, you called it. I do. I think I recall. I think I just ignored. I just like.
Yeah, I said they're gonna wait until all the drama died down and the heat is off. Because see, Disney's smart. They know they got to protect their brand, so they had to fire him to show face, to shut people up. And once people got into other things and forgot about it and started focusing on other drama that's going on in entertainment, boom, we're gonna hire you. Go ahead and get another project, James. We apologize that you have to go through this, but go ahead and get another project. Boom, he signs up for Suicide Squad 3. Disney was gonna take a big L on that. They was gonna take a big L, and I think Kevin Feige was like, "Hey, I need my boy back." He was gonna. It
was Disney that fired him. It wasn't Kevin Feige. It was Disney that fired him.
Yeah, it was Disney, but I'm sure Kevin Feige had some words to say about bringing his boy back. And I know Bob Iger was like, Kevin Feige had to show them, hey, this was our plans. He was going to be the face of the cosmic universe. Mm-hmm. James Gunn was going to, not necessarily be side by side or up there with Kevin Feige, but he was Kevin Feige's number one boy to do the cosmic universe because he has more of that eye because of his success with Guardians.
Yeah.
And I was like, if Disney hires him back, that's going to be a genius move because they waited until all this shit died down, and then they waited right before the Fox and Disney shit.
Yeah. I didn't see it coming. I thought they was like, we'll just write them out because they had literally was like, we're gonna write everybody out because everybody else, what was his name? The guy that played Drax, he wasn't coming back. He was like, if James Gunn isn't coming back, I'm not coming back. The guy that plays like, if he's not coming back, I'm not coming back. So I was like, yo, that's like half the cast,
Right. And then to have all those cast members write a petition and say how they had his back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were going to take a big L on that. And I think they just had to strategize and figure it out. But yeah, that news broke today. So now that I know he's coming back and all that, and now we got Captain Marvel, I know our cosmic universe is back to being safe.
And I got a question kind of off topic, but on topic. Did you pick up as Guardians of the Galaxy?
Did I pick up what?
Yeah, as Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
Yeah, it's a comic book because I thought that's what they were gonna do. I thought they was gonna say, you know what, we just put Thor and Valkyrie in the new Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, I've heard about it, but I have not. Yeah. I have not read it.
I've seen it. I haven't picked it up because I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, you got to pick it up."
Me either. I heard about it.
Oh yeah, so briefly. I just stumbled across it in the comic book shop, and I was like, "Whoa!" And but I didn't pick it up. So.
Is that's a new run?
It's actually over 6 issues.
Oh,
I'm assuming that it just didn't sell. It just.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because
the new Guardians of the Galaxy is a new lineup. It's a new
lineup.
So
completely new people.
New lineup. Yep.
Well, that's going to be interesting because I'm going to have to check it out just so I can be aware of it and keep my eye on it because I haven't heard anybody say that, but I'm going to have to go to my little comic book boy and see if he knows anything about it, see if he can give me a little insight on it, see if I can find some reviews on it, but I'm going to have to go check it out because that one completely, went over my head. I heard it a long time ago, but that's interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to let everybody know because I was gonna do a YouTube video about it later on tonight and just say, y'all, what do y'all think about this? Just put it out there because I think people are slowly finding out.
Yeah, when you said it, I was like, what is she talking about? And I laughed because I was thinking about Suicide Squad because the question is say Suicide Squad, so I thought that's what that was. So then I kept talking. I was like, wait a second. What? Well, hold on. What happened? So
they let him out of his contract and everything.
Yeah.
That's what was so crazy. So that's why I thought maybe it was a done deal. I was like, oh, Disney gonna stick to their gun on this one. No pun intended. And I was like, you know, they let him out of his contract, and then he signed up to do, you know, another ensemble with, you know, Warner Brothers. And I'm like, oh man, we ain't gonna get no Guardians. That's, you know, I was like, damn, we're not gonna get that trilogy like we thought. And then they pulled this one today. So I was like, yes. I mean, I was literally so happy. And I said, this is how invested I am into this universe. That, you know, back in the day, you ain't really care about the directors of movies. Now,
you're right. Now, you're right.
You almost more, you care about the directors more than you do some of the actors.
Some of the actors, yep. But you know what? I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna go ahead and close. Like when you look back at movies that were really good, when they change the directors, they usually crash. You know.
Yeah.
When you look at some great stuff, you're like, why was the sequel bad? You know, it's because they had a new director and it didn't work. So, before we go, if you can give us your social media contacts.
I will. My Twitter is One Shadow Love, and that's spelled ONE Shadow Love, LOVE. And you can also catch me on Instagram, which is also One Shadow Love, but the number 1 Shadow Love _
And your YouTube.
Oh, my fault. And my YouTube is actual Shadow Love. So I do, you know, some trailer reviews, and I also do some reviews on, well, mostly reviews on Marvel movies, you guys, because I'm a big Marvel head. And then sometimes I do it on little films that I want to kind of put my input out, so people can be aware of some smaller budget movies and films that I get to check out throughout the year. Other than that, I'm trying to get better on my YouTube, but you know,
it's not easy. Yeah, it's not.
It's hard work.
Yeah, it's not. I used to do videos, and this is hard, and I think the editing bothers me. So, but
yeah, I don't want to do it alone anymore. I want to do it with someone else. In the future, and very soon. So, you know, I'm working on that, but it's hard to find somebody that match your energy and your drive, and you know, that's available as much as you need it. So it's like, even if I can get somebody just to come on there like once a week with me, and you know, because I just like to have other people's opinion, and I like to bounce off of other people. It just makes the content better and more.
I agree.
Fluid. You know what I mean? Yep. So yeah, I'm working on it.
We got you. We'll be here for you. So I'm going to put all her information in the show notes. And definitely thank you for coming aboard. And again, your opinion is always appreciated here. There you have it. Another episode of Where My Killer Tape At. Shout out again to Shadow One for that one. I'm going to put her information in the show notes. But if you want to get a hold of me, if you want to book me for a gig to do workshops or whatever, holla at your boy at DanTresOMi at Gmail. So that's DanTresOMi at gmail.com. Make sure in the subject header you put booking. And then if you want some advice, do the same thing. Send it to my Gmail and just in the subject column put advice. And if you want to get me on the Twitters, you can catch me at DanTresOMi, DanTresOMi. And yes, it is public again. And you could also hit me up on the official Twitter for the podcast, Omi's Podcast. And that's OMIS Podcast. That's on the Twitters. I'm definitely going to put the information for the workshop I'm doing at the International Steampunk Symposium on March 31st. It's a Sunday. It's actually, the event is the entire week starting that Thursday. So come through. It's in Cincinnati. Shout out to the Airship Ashanti for putting me on for that. And I'll come on at 10 o'clock with my crew. Come down and learn some capoeira. Word is born. Until then, peace.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Peace.